When a luxury flight attendant sneered at the wrong passenger, she thought she was putting a man in his place. She didn't know he owned the jet she was standing on. A sleek private jet waits on the glowing runway under midnight lights. Inside, luxury cream leather seats shimmer beneath golden cabin lights. The hostess, blonde and sharply dressed, checks champagne glasses with cold precision. The black executive, tall and calm in a tailored navy suit, boards with quiet confidence. His assistant carries a slim briefcase, nodding respectfully as he takes a seat. The hostess glances at him, her smile tight and dismissive. Other passengers, junior executives, whisper about his unexpected presence. The hostess leans toward a coworker, muttering, "He doesn't look like he belongs here." The coworker hesitates, but says nothing. The black executive notices the whisper but remains silent, adjusting his cufflinks. The hostess offers champagne to everyone but accidentally skips him. His assistant politely asks, "Excuse me, could we get a glass here as well?" The hostess sighs, rolls her eyes, and says, "I'll get to it, when I can." The cabin goes quiet. Subtle tension fills the air. A junior executive shifts uncomfortably, watching closely. The black executive calmly pulls out a notebook, unfazed. The hostess mutters again, "These people think they own the sky." His assistant stiffens, eyes narrowing, but the boss raises a hand to stop him. "It's fine," the executive says softly, voice steady. But the other passengers sense something big is coming. The hostess finally slams a glass of champagne down in front of him without a word. Tiny drops splash onto his cuff, but he calmly wipes them with his silk handkerchief. She smirks, satisfied, before turning gracefully to pour drinks for the others. The junior execs exchange uneasy glances, wondering if they should intervene. His assistant clenches his jaw but stays silent, taking his cue from the boss. The jet engines roar softly as the aircraft begins taxiing across the runway. Cabin lights dim slightly, giving the room a golden glow atmosphere. The hostess begins the safety briefing, her tone dripping with fake politeness. She gestures toward the black executive with exaggerated sharpness, as if mocking him. "In case of turbulence," she says with a smirk, "please hold on tight to your briefcases." A few passengers chuckle awkwardly, not sure how to react. The executive simply nods, jotting something in his notebook. His assistant leans closer. "Sir, this is getting out of hand." "Not yet," the boss replies quietly, eyes sharp but patient. The jet lifts off, smooth and powerful, cutting into the night sky. Champagne glasses rattle gently as the plane climbs. The hostess, now in full control of the cabin, struts down the aisle like it's her stage. She stops beside the executive, bending closer than needed. "First time on a jet like this?" she whispers mockingly. The passengers hear it. Silence spreads like wildfire. The executive raises his eyes to her, calm but unreadable. "No," he replies softly. "Not the first, and not the last." She scoffs, brushing off his words. One passenger nervously laughs, then quickly regrets it. The hostess circles back, tapping her manicured nails on his untouched champagne. "Not your taste?" she asks, tone dripping with sarcasm. "Patience," he answers, "is my taste." The assistant smiles faintly, recognizing his boss's quiet power. The hostess huffs, frustrated she can't get a reaction. Outside, the stars glitter against the velvet black sky. The jet stabilizes. Conversation slowly resumes in hushed tones. But all eyes keep drifting back to the silent man in the navy suit. The hostess starts gossiping with the coworker in whispers again. He's probably just some assistant pretending to be important. The coworker looks uneasy but doesn't argue. The executive closes his notebook, folds his hands, and finally leans back. His gold cufflinks glint under the cabin lights, a small but powerful detail. One junior exec notices the brand of his watch and gasps quietly. It's a limited edition model worn only by a handful of global CEOs. But the hostess doesn't see it. She's too busy planning her next insult. The hostess adjusts her uniform collar and strolls back toward the executive. She leans across him to close the overhead bin, making a show of ignoring his presence. The scent of her perfume lingers sharply in the air. The assistant shifts uncomfortably, but the boss remains still. Passengers murmur softly, sensing the tension thickening. A young analyst, sitting across the aisle, scribbles nervously in his notepad. A ripple of unease passes through the junior executives. They realize this is not an ordinary man. The hostess brushes past him, her shoulder grazing his deliberately. "Excuse me," she says, without sounding the least bit sorry. His assistant clenches his pen tightly, almost snapping it. But again, the executive raises a hand, signaling restraint. The hostess suddenly laughs at a joke no one told, trying to draw attention. "Some people really don't understand how exclusive this jet is," she says loudly. Her words hang in the air, directed at only one person. The boss meets her gaze, calm, steady, unshaken. He slowly opens his leather notebook again, writing something down. His handwriting is precise, controlled, confident. The hostess peeks over his shoulder, trying to glimpse his notes. He closes it calmly, giving her a look that freezes her for a moment. A senior passenger clears his throat, trying to cut the tension. "Lovely flight tonight," he mutters, forcing a smile. The hostess beams at him with false warmth, instantly changing her demeanor. But the act drops the moment she turns back toward the black executive. She mutters under her breath, "Doesn't even belong here." The words, though quiet, echo in the stunned silence of the cabin. The assistant's patience begins to crack, but the boss whispers, "Not yet." The engines hum steadily, cutting through the night air. Outside the window, moonlight reflects on the jet's silver wing. Inside, the air feels tighter, heavier. A junior exec fiddles nervously with his tie. Another glances at the boss's cufflinks again, suspicion growing. The hostess notices none of it. Her arrogance blinds her. She leans close again, voice sharp as glass. "You people are lucky just to sit here. Don't forget it." Gasps ripple through the cabin, shock written on every face. The assistant half rises from his seat, fists clenched. The executive calmly rests a hand on his arm, steadying him. He straightens his suit jacket, finally ready to respond. And just as he parts his lips to speak, the humiliation begins. The hostess plants herself firmly in the aisle, arms crossed. Her smirk widens as she looks down at the black executive. "Sir," she says loudly, "are you sure you're on the right flight?" Passengers turn, stunned, whispers erupting instantly. The assistant bolts upright. "Watch your tone." But the boss raises his hand, eyes still fixed on her. She tilts her chin higher. "This jet is for senior leadership only." Gasps echo around the cabin. The insult cuts deeper than before. One junior exec mutters, "She doesn't know." The boss leans back, calm, almost amused. "And who decides who belongs?" he asks softly. She laughs, sharp and cruel. "Certainly not you." A glass of champagne in her hand trembles with her mocking gesture. She leans closer, her voice dripping venom. "Men like you clean jets. You don't own them." The cabin falls into dead silence. Even the engines sound quieter, as if waiting. The assistant can no longer sit still. "You don't know who you're talking to," he snaps. The hostess waves him off. "Oh, please. Spare me." The boss finally sets down his notebook, closing it with deliberate calm. His cufflinks catch the light again, gold, engraved, unmistakable. A junior exec recognizes them, whispering urgently to his seatmate. That's the CEO's personal set." The seatmate blinks in shock. "You mean he's the—" "Shoo," the first hisses. "Don't say it yet." The hostess notices the whispering and scowls. "Something funny?" she demands, glaring at them. They quickly shake their heads, too afraid to speak. She spins back to the boss, voice dripping with authority she doesn't have. "Look, I don't care who you think you are. On this flight, I'm in charge." The boss finally speaks, voice calm but cutting. "Is that so?" "Yes," she declares, planting her hands on her hips. He nods slowly. "Then I'll let you finish." His composure rattles her, but she presses on. "Passengers like you should be grateful just to sit in these seats." "Passengers like me," he repeats softly, eyes narrowing. She laughs again, brittle and hollow. "Don't act like you haven't taken a wrong turn into the wrong world." His assistant slams his pen down, no longer able to hold back. "That's enough," he shouts, voice echoing in the cabin. The hostess flinches, startled by the outburst. The boss calmly gestures for him to sit. "Patience." The passengers lean forward, every eye fixed on the confrontation. The hostess, cheeks flushed, doubles down. "Men like you don't give orders here." "I do." A silence thicker than steel fills the cabin. The boss rises slowly from his seat, towering over her. His height, His calm presence suddenly makes her falter. The hostess stiffens, forcing a laugh to cover her nerves. "Oh, really? And just who do you think you are?" she sneers. The boss studies her in silence for a long moment. His calmness unsettles her more than any anger could. He finally speaks. "You'll know soon enough." Murmurs ripple through the cabin. Everyone feels the weight of his words. The assistant exhales sharply, sensing the tide turning. One junior exec nervously checks his phone, scrolling through company profiles. His eyes widen as he finds the CEO's portrait. He looks up at the man standing before him. Same suit, same cufflinks, same face. His throat dries as he whispers to his seatmate, "It's him." The seatmate's jaw drops. "The actual CEO?" The first exec nods, eyes wide with disbelief. The hostess, still oblivious, rolls her eyes. "I've had enough of this act," she snaps. She steps closer, pointing a manicured finger at him. "Sit down before I call security when we land." The boss tilts his head slightly, as if amused. "Security?" he repeats softly, letting the word hang. The hostess falters at the calm challenge in his tone. His assistant, unable to resist, smiles faintly at her ignorance. "You really have no idea, do you?" he says quietly. The hostess snaps her head toward him. "Excuse me." The boss raises a hand to silence his assistant again. "Not yet," he murmurs. "She'll learn." The passengers are leaning forward, captivated. Even the coworker hostess has stopped moving, frozen in unease. He leans just slightly forward and says, "Then it's time we correct your mistake." The hostess, flustered by the lack of control, doubles down again. "If you don't respect this cabin, you'll never fly on this jet again." The boss smirks faintly. That much is true. A ripple of knowing laughter escapes from the junior execs. The hostess whirls on them, furious. "Something funny?" They quickly look down, hiding their smiles. The boss takes a step forward, his presence filling the aisle. The jet feels smaller, heavier, with him standing in command. "Let me ask you," he says softly. "Who signs your paycheck?" She blinks, thrown off by the sudden question. "The airline, obviously," she scoffs. He nods slowly. "And who owns the airline?" Silence. Her confidence cracks. A passenger whispers, "Oh no," under his breath. The hostess laughs nervously, brushing it off. "Whoever it isn't you." His assistant chuckles darkly. "You sure about that?" The boss fixes her with a gaze so steady she feels pinned in place. "Check your facts before you speak," he says evenly. The junior exec who Googled him finally blurts out, "He's the CEO." Gasps explode across the cabin. The hostess turns pale, eyes darting to the man she just mocked. The realization hits her. She has been humiliating the very man who controls her fate. The hostess stumbles back a step, her confidence crumbling. Her cheeks flush crimson, her polished poise cracking. She glances at the coworker hostess, desperate for support. The coworker looks away, unwilling to defend her. The assistant folds his arms, satisfaction flickering in his eyes. The passengers whisper, a chorus of disbelief filling the cabin. "She really didn't know?" someone mutters. Another shakes his head. "Unbelievable. Insulting the CEO on his own jet." The hostess opens her mouth, words tangled. I didn't mean," she stammers. The boss raises a hand, silencing her instantly. His calm authority cuts sharper than anger ever could. He straightens his jacket, turning slowly to face the other passengers. "You've all witnessed what just happened," he says evenly. The cabin nods silently, no one daring to look away. His voice carries weight, controlled, deliberate, powerful. "Disrespect has no place on my flights." Gasps ripple. He has claimed the jet as his own. The junior execs nod in agreement, some even applauding softly. The hostess bites her lip, trembling now. She tries to recover her voice. "Sir, this was all a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" he repeats, raising a brow. He gestures toward his assistant. "Did she misunderstand 3 times? 5. The assistant shakes his head firmly. She knew what she was saying. The coworker finally speaks, voice quiet but firm. She mocked him from the moment he boarded. The hostess spins on her colleague, betrayal etched on her face. "You're siding with him?" she hisses. "I'm siding with the truth," the coworker replies, steady. The passengers murmur in agreement. The hostess trembles, realizing the room is no longer hers. The boss returns his gaze to her, unflinching. "Respect isn't optional in this company." His words hit harder than a raised voice ever could. She clutches the back of a seat, trying to steady herself. "Please," she whispers. "I didn't know who you were." The boss leans slightly forward, voice calm but cold. "You shouldn't need to know my title to show basic respect." A ripple of agreement passes through the passengers. One junior exec mutters, "That's leadership." The hostess swallows hard, tears brimming in her eyes. Her voice cracks. Please give me another chance." The assistant shakes his head, unimpressed. "Sir, she doesn't deserve one," he mutters. The boss lifts a hand again, silencing even his assistant. He studies her for a long, heavy pause. Finally, he says, "You grounded yourself the moment you opened your mouth." The words land like a final verdict. The hostess collapses into an empty seat, hands shaking. The passengers know the decision has been made. The cabin is silent, the hum of the engine's the only sound. The hostess shifts uncomfortably, trying to find words. "Sir, I'll do better," she pleads weakly. The boss regards her with an expression unreadable. He turns to his assistant. "Bring me the company roster." The assistant opens the briefcase, pulling out a leather folder. Inside are employee files, contracts, and performance reviews. The boss flips through calmly, as though reviewing paperwork at his desk. The hostess watches in horror, her knees weakening. He stops at her name, finger-tapping the page. Flight attendant. Senior staff. His voice is level, but carries finality. The passengers exchange nervous glances. This is no longer a scolding. It's an executive decision unfolding in real time. "You've represented this company poorly," he says quietly. "Your actions damage more than you realize." The hostess shakes her head frantically. No, I didn't." "Disrespect reflects culture," he interrupts, voice sharp now. "And culture starts with people like you." She tries to stand, but her legs won't hold her. Her coworker steps back, distancing herself from the scene. The passengers sit frozen, afraid to breathe too loudly. The boss closes the folder with deliberate care. "Effective immediately," he announces. "You are relieved of duty." The hostess gasps, a choked sound tearing from her throat. She grips the armrest of the nearest seat, unable to process. Her hands shake as if the floor beneath her has vanished. The coworker's eyes widen, stunned to see it happen midair. A passenger mutters under his breath, "Justice served." The assistant stands tall, folding his arms. "Sir, should I inform HR when we land?" The boss shakes his head. "No, I'll call them myself." The hostess bursts out, voice breaking. "Please, I'll apologize. I'll work double shifts. Anything." The boss doesn't flinch. Respect isn't negotiable currency. His words cut clean, leaving no space for argument. The passengers exchange glances, nodding in silent agreement. The hostess sinks lower in her seat, defeated. Tears streak her perfectly powdered cheeks. Her mascara smudges, her perfect image unraveling. She tries one last desperate attempt. "You can't fire me mid-flight." The boss tilts his head, voice cool as steel. "This isn't about where we are. It's about who you are." The line lands heavy, echoing through the cabin. A passenger whispers, "That's leadership," under his breath. Another nods firmly. He's setting the standard. The hostess buries her face in her hands, sobbing quietly. The coworker gently guides her away from the aisle, seating her in the back. The boss returns to his seat, calm and composed, as though nothing happened. The cabin breathes again, but everyone knows they just witnessed a career in midair. The jet cruises smoothly, but the atmosphere inside remains heavy. The hostess sits isolated at the back, staring blankly at the floor. Her once perfect uniform looks wrinkled, her poise shattered. The coworker silently continues her duties, careful and respectful. The passengers whisper among themselves, still buzzing from what they witnessed. "I've never seen power handled so calmly," one murmurs. Another replies, "He didn't need to raise his voice once." The boss sits quietly, reviewing his notes as if nothing unusual happened. His assistant leans closer. "Sir, should I draft the termination letter?" "No need," the boss replies smoothly. "It's already decided." The hostess looks up at him, eyes swollen from crying. "Please, don't ruin my life over this," she whispers. He turns his head slightly, his gaze calm but firm. "You ruined your career the moment you disrespected mine." The words hit harder than a shout ever could. The engines begin to slow. The descent has started. The coworker announces landing protocols, her voice steady. The passengers buckle in, still exchanging glances. Several glance at the boss with newfound respect. A young exec whispers, "That's the kind of leader I want to follow." The hostess grips her seatbelt tightly, hands trembling. She whispers to herself, "Maybe he'll change his mind." But the boss doesn't look at her again. His attention is fully on the descent, calm and collected. The jet glides smoothly toward the runway lights. The city skyline sparkles beneath the night sky. The tires screech softly as the jet touches down. A hush falls over the cabin, the tension still thick. The coworker completes the landing announcement. The hostess keeps her head bowed, unable to face anyone. The jet taxis toward the private hangar. Outside the window, ground crew rush into position. The passengers sit in silence, waiting for what comes next. The boss finally rises from his seat, buttoning his jacket. His presence commands attention without effort. "Ladies and gentlemen," he says evenly, "thank you for your patience tonight." His voice carries calm authority, steady and sure. What you witnessed wasn't about rank. It was about respect. Nods ripple through the cabin. His words sink deep. No one in this company, at any level, will ever be above treating others with dignity. The passengers clap softly, a ripple of approval. His assistant allows himself a small smile, proud of his boss. The hostess trembles harder, knowing this is the final nail. The boss glances at her one last time. "For some," he says quietly, "tonight is the last flight." The words slice through her, final and cold. She buries her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. The coworker leads the passengers off the plane, one by one. The boss steps into the aisle, letting them exit first. He remains the last to leave, his shadow falling across the broken hostess.